Hey guys, so today I'm doing a tag, and I was tagged by my friend Robert from The Stranger Speaks, and I will link his channel below. This tag is 10 things you don't know about me. And this was kind of a tricky tag to do because it's not beauty related, it's much more personal. Okay, so I have my phone here because I had to make a few notes just to make sure I stayed on track. So number one, some of you already know this because this was in my personal tag video, but I still get questions about this, so I'm going to go ahead and put it out there again in this video. So we'll just get this out of the way. Number one, how I ended up in Hawaii. So in my senior year of high school, I decided I wanted to go on a trip, and so I bought a plane ticket, a round trip ticket to Maui. And I didn't know anyone here, I just thought it'd be a nice place to check out. So 2 weeks before my trip, I decided, what if I just didn't come back? What if I just moved? Because basically there was just nothing left for me in my hometown. It was just time for me to make a change, and I knew that, and I knew it needed to happen as soon as possible. And I had nothing. I was sleeping on my best friend's couch, and so literally I had nothing. Therefore I thought, well then I have nothing to lose, so just go for it. And I told my friends and family, and of course they tried to talk me out of it. No, you need to finish high school. No, you can't do this. No, you're not going to be able to make it out there on your own. You don't know anybody. You're going to be all by yourself. Anyways, so against friends and family, I proceeded with my plan. I had $300 cash. I packed a very small backpack, and I got a Greyhound bus ticket and rode out of my tiny little Oregon town down to San Francisco, boarded my plane to Maui, and well, here I am. So my big advice there is don't ever listen to people that tell you you can't do something. I can only speculate that they themselves are the ones that are afraid of success. Okay, number two, a lot of my friends will already know this on here, but I still get lots of questions about this, so I'll go ahead and put it out there again. This is, what do I do for a living? I design jewelry here in Hawaii. We maintain several wholesale accounts. We do special events and gift shows. And before this, I used to own a lingerie, clubwear, swimwear company by the name of Pink So Foxy, and that is where I get my username. So I had a website, and that's where I did all my sales for Pink So Foxy. But it just kind of became too much for me because I was running that business and then my jewelry. And I decided to just choose which one was profiting the highest, which was jewelry, and so I closed my website, and that was that. Okay, number three. Now, this is going to be diving into the more difficult part of this tag, a little more personal. Okay, I come from a very dysfunctional family, as I'm sure a lot of you probably do. So let me give you a little bit of background. When I was 6 years old, my mom started to come down with this illness. So my dad took her to several doctors, and she was diagnosed with a form of schizophrenia. I'm not going to get into details of what schizophrenia is, but we're just going to skip over that part. Anyways, so my parents ended up separating, although my dad continued fully dedicated to her, taking her to the doctors regularly, getting her on the right medication. Now, my mom hated taking her medication, so she would quit often. And every time she would quit, she would get very ill with the schizophrenia and end up in the hospital. However, before a person can go into the hospital, before they're accepted into it, they have to become a danger to themselves or a danger to others. And that is where the real fun set in. I can't tell you how many crazy things were going on at my house. One time I came home from school, and my mom was trying to start a fire in our bathtub. So it was a good thing I came home when I did. Another time I came home from school, and there was an ambulance in my driveway. and they were picking up my mom because she had overdosed on her medication and while attempting to commit suicide. So yeah. So unfortunately, this was the vicious cycle that went on for many years. Okay, number 4. When I was 13 years old, I was taken out of school by a social worker and placed in a foster home, which I escaped from the next day. And I was back at school and then back home as usual. So they couldn't keep me there for long. Okay, number 5. There was a point in my life where I was very depressed. I was completely broken down. I would think to myself, I have no happiness. I have no enjoyment. I'm not living. I'm merely existing. And so, what is the point of continuing on in this struggle? And I admit that the option of suicide did pass through my mind at that low point in my life, but being the stubborn and persistent person I am, never one to back down from a challenge, I made the conscious decision to overcome those negative emotions, and I turned it around. So from that day on, every morning I would wake up and I would think to myself, whatever doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. I started focusing on myself more. I got into fitness and nutrition. I worked out every single day. Music, my pets, a sense of humor, all of those were my therapy. I started pushing myself. I started making goals and reaching them, and before I knew it, I'd changed, just by changing my mind. My situation hadn't changed, but I changed. My thinking and the way I perceived things changed. And when I finally rebounded from that rock bottom point of my life, it was then that I realized just how powerful the mind really is. Okay, on to number 6. Number 6, I have social anxiety. I'm not a social butterfly. I'm much more quiet. I dread social gatherings. I find making small talk to be quite boring. I'd really rather be out doing something. I've always said that I'm not talk, I'm action. I mean, I'm really quite friendly and easygoing. I just have to work really hard at not being such a nervous little hermit crab hiding in my shell. And not even at social gatherings, but even just when I'm out of the stores, like by myself, I feel like I start getting nervous. I feel like people are looking at me and it makes me nervous. So anyways, okay, on to number 7. A few of my obsessions that you guys don't know about. I made a little list here, so let me share those with you. Besides makeup, pyramids, desert landscapes, sand dunes, Egypt, camels, astronomy, stargazing, meteorite hunting, metal detecting, photography, Australia, sitar music, and massive, beautiful beaches with no one else around. I feel like it's just something very special and grounding to be on a beautiful piece of earth with no one around to interrupt it. Okay, number 8. When I was 21, I went to Australia. I traveled around for a month. I flew into Sydney. I was there for a little while. I flew up to Brisbane in Queensland, and I drove down to Byron Bay, and from there I drove up the coast, stopping as much as I could in as many towns as I could. And I drove all the way up to Airlie Beach. And then from there I went out in the Great Barrier Reef in the Whitsunday Islands, and I took a little sailboat cruise out there. Even though I get very seasick, I really wanted to go out and see the Great Barrier Reef and those beautiful islands. So surprisingly, I did not get seasick. I think I was just so excited to be there that that my seasickness never arose. So that was good. So yeah, I stayed at a hotel out there in the Whitsunday Islands. It was beautiful. I loved every minute of it. Best vacation I ever took. And I held koalas, and I shared my breakfast every morning with wallabies, and it was just an amazing trip, an amazing time. So happy that I went there, and I'd like to go back again sometime. Okay, number 9, how I met my husband and got married. My husband Michael and I met in 2004 in March. We met through a mutual guy friend, and we ended up engaged the next month in April, and then we got married a few months later in July. So I know that sounds like, whoa, that's like super fast, but all I can say is when you know, and just go for it. So this July, it'll be our 7-year anniversary, and we're best friends. Okay, number 10, I'm going to keep short and sweet because I think I've drawn this video out long enough already. So number 10, my height. That's an easy one, right? Okay, my height, I am 5'9". Okay, so that's it. That's the 10 things that you guys now know about me. I tag anyone who would like to do this video. So thank you again, Robert, for tagging me. And if you guys have any questions, just leave them in the comments below and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.